Phoenix Rising have a new signing. Let's talk more about it tonight. Yeah, buddy. Hello, how we doing today, folks? Welcome into the PHNX
Max, you don't sound
Rising.
fully convinced
I can't
of
even
that,
get to
mate.
I can't even get to the intro without this guy interrupting me. Welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast.
We love it.
Everyone, appreciate y'all joining us on a Wednesday evening. Of course, I am Max Simpson, and I'm joined by the man on my left, Mr. Owain, the Oracle Evans, and to my right, this young lad, the kid. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me to see.
He is the hot dog heaver.
Oh God. Well, I mean, at least Rise or Arsenal won 3-0 today, so I have that going for me.
He's got that going for him.
You do have that going. The real competition tomorrow is when Spurs lose away to Rangers. But
he's setting the thing.
Here we go. We're setting the table. We got a great show. Of course, we got Mr. Kyle Cooper, the producer extraordinaire behind the brand redacted computer. He is pushing the buttons. He's doing his thing.
What, you started redacting? Sorry, the brand on the. You never used to.
Do what you got to do. We got everyone in the chat. Hop in, leave a like on your way in here. Do it before said producer Kyle gets angry at us. You got James Wilson in chat. Let's go. Appreciate you, James. Anthony, huge news today. Adam in the chat. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna redact that comment for the no free ads. And Rees,
we need an official review from someone.
Rees, you want 5 big? You want to give 5 big booms? Do you want to do the booms?
No, Max. I feel like we got to do them together.
We gotta do them together. You ready?
You two do
Not
it.
really.
No, I don't want to do it. Kyle, you want to do a boom?
Give a boom.
No, it's the two of you on the screen.
Hold on. Here we go. We get to 15 likes. Owen's going to do the 5 big
No,
booms.
I'm
All right,
not.
Cool.
I'm
All right,
not.
it's already in there.
Yep.
It's already out there.
Yep.
15
No,
likes.
Rees said he'd do it, so Rees
No,
can
no,
do it.
I was giving 5
First
big
to 15
booms to
likes.
that brand
We'll get those
redacted
5. Look at that. We're already doubling. Let's go. Rickety Bridge. Hello. It's soccer time. We'll appreciate you. We got a good show for you guys today. Let's start off with the headline, right?
The headline.
New signing. Anthony mentioned it today. Rising has their first signing of the offseason of the Pas du Cal era. Winger Damian Rivera joins Phoenix Rising. He was on loan last year. Tampa Bay Rowdies. He is listed as a forward, more of your winger guys. We saw the highlight tape. We've seen what he can do. 6 goals in 34 appearances last season in the USL Championship. What we think?
I'm going to go heavy, I think, on let's initially set the scene by reminding people, right? Because I've seen people saying, oh, great, we've signed a forward. This is what we needed. We need to be, I think, a bit open about the fact that what we're looking at here is a guy who is a winger. And he's not just a winger. He's a winger to an extent of a similar profile as some of the guys that are already on the team, right? He's that pacey kind of winger. Maybe not so much of a crosser, right? We've seen some of the other wingers struggle a bit with crossing. Maybe not the most defensive-minded. He's definitely a very attack-minded guy. He's not a number 9. He's definitely more of a winger in this case.
As mentioned.
That's not a bad thing. Look, we've said that this team probably needs a little bit more depth at the wing kind of roles, even though it's one of the more fleshed out roles in the team as it stands, in terms of when you look at the guys that they brought back, you look at the guys that they've managed to either have under contract still, they've used options, any of that stuff. You're thinking guys like Jearl Margaritha, guys like Darius Johnson, right? Darius from can play as more of a winger. Those are realistically guys that you're looking to in those positions first, and then you bring in Damian Rivera. Now, in that context, right, you can look at those numbers initially and you'd say, well, 6 goals in 34 games, is that too impressive? For a winger, I think it's a pretty decent number.
It is.
Especially for a winger who spent most of his time coming off of the bench last season with Tampa Bay Rowdies. So there's a bit of context. They did not play too many games as a starter for Tampa Bay Rowdies, where he was on loan from New England Revolution. But he still managed to pick up 6 goals. That's a good thing. He's got that element to his game. To me, if you ask me, is he a starter or is he not? I'm not certain at this point as I look at this player in particular. Some people will say things like scale up, you give him runway and he'll be okay. And I'd caution against the overemphasis on it's fine, he can start. The progression for a pacey winger from guy off the bench to starter is not a linear kind of extrapolation.
Not necessarily.
Okay? We've seen in the past, I think that, look, when we have seen, perfect example, recent guy who was a winger, a pacey winger for Phoenix Rising, okay? Erickson Gallardo, off the bench in the playoffs in 23, really threatening, found ways to terrorize defenses, caused some real concern among defensive players who were tiring at the end of a game. In this case, when you start Erickson Gallardo, doesn't translate in the same way. Now, do you see that same kind of shift here with Damian Rivera or not? I don't know. I see enough promise there off the bench to make me think that the kid's got something to him, definitely. But is he someone that you could rely, that I would look at right now, look at all that he's done, all of that, and say, you know what, I'd be really comfortable going to the season feeling like he's someone who you want to start week in, week out? I'm not sure. He could well play himself into that role, but we'll have to see.
No, I have to agree. I mean, you look at some of the metrics from his time at Tampa Bay last season, and he's up there for pretty much every category. He's 5th in chances created, 6th in chances created on the team, 2nd in dribbles completed on the team, and he's only averaged about 30 minutes a match. Oh, wow. And I think that's the promise that he shows. I know, again, it is such a small sample size for him, but he is still young, and you have to look at that promise of it and the promise of what he can bring to this team. Because right now, I mean, we really don't know what the depth chart is going to look like. I mean, I think the only penciled-in starter for Rising's forwards would be Margaritha at this point. And even then, that could be up for grabs depending on who comes in later for this team. But I really think this is a good step for Rising, a good first signing. But again, there just needs to be that continued push, continue more signings for Rising like this.
Yeah, and I think that's it, right? I mean, and everyone in the chat, right? Anthony, this is a solid first step. Goalie man Pat need wingers who are actually a bit more technical on the ball, not just all about speed. Listen, I think like this is going to be one of those where I think a couple things. Number one, time will tell. This is a guy who, as mentioned, he's 22 years old. He is young. The profile is someone who's definitely still raw within the far from the finished product, right? He has MLS experience. I think the fact that, as Rees mentioned, is averaging about 30 minutes, whether he develops in the start or not, I don't know if that's necessarily the barometer of success, but it depends to see what his role in this team will be. And that's kind of the second part is, again, this is a new coaching staff. This is a new system. We're going to have to see of how they like to utilize the wingers, what that kind of looks like from the profile. I will say this. It definitely, to me, if you are kind of looking at the potential, this is, I think often people say you can make an emphasis in the transfer window based on what your first signing is. And if this is what we're looking at, you are bringing someone who's young, you are looking to add competition to a position that already has a lot of talent, which I like. And the other thing is this. Contrast this to last year where, right, again, there's no shots here, but, you're seeing some guys who have come in who are a bit more veteran players. Let's call like a Juan Carlos Azcar, right? A guy like that who what you're already kind of getting a bit. He has a bit more of that experience, but maybe not as much of that ceiling to still grow into, not as much of that potential. To me, I like the upside on this, and regardless of how long he played in his average appearances last season for Rowdies, I think that you are making a statement by this first step, and I'm curious to see. They have to add to it, and as what the chat's saying, there's a lot of other positions that need to be added, but it's not a bad move in my opinion.
I don't think it's a bad move, but I'd question whether it's quite a statement to me. A statement is going out and doing what Rhode Island did and bringing Maxi Rodriguez in, who's an all-league first teamer. This is a reasonable first step, but a few things to it. People like to bring up the underlying numbers, and they're right. The underlying numbers are not bad, right? In fact, as well, and this is the bit that intrigues me the most, Damian Rivera is one of the few guys who genuinely outperformed his XG last year on a Tampa Bay Rowdies side that was quite wasteful, I think, all around the board. That's an important thing to me, I think, to see that. His expected assists. If you assume that maybe he gets twice as many minutes and take the linear assumption. You're looking at a guy who could give you plausibly 7 expected goals and somewhere 6 to 7 expected assists over the course of a year. And obviously, XG, XA, sometimes you outperform them by a bit, sometimes you underperform them by a bit. Those are things to consider, but interesting nonetheless. The other part to this, though, is that I think some of those underlying numbers are probably helped by the fact that Tampa Bay is a team that had a lot of good attacking players on that team throughout last season, right? When you look at guys like Manuel Arteaga, you look at guys like Cal Jennings, you look at guys who create chances like Lewis Hilton, you look at guys who create, chances in that kind of a realm, and that's a very good attacking team in that sense. Does he put up those numbers in a vacuum of not having all those good players around him? And therefore, what does Rising need to build around Damian Rivera? Does he come in as a guy who will himself transform your attack in some way, shape, or form? Or is he someone who will feed well off of others around him if you build it out correctly around him? That's something that we'll have to see. I mean, the simple fact is, this team still doesn't have a number 9 right now. This is your first signing. And, as I kind of hinted at, he's a player who's not too dissimilar than some of the other profile players on this team. Now, when you mention statements and what you say with your first signing that you make of the offseason, right? Yeah, some of it is just timing. Some of it is you've got this deal over the line, so you might as well announce it. But to me, it also then still raises the question of, has Phoenix Rising worked out its full-on identity in the attack? Because you're signing all of these players that are quite similar, but there are obviously still gaps there, right? When you bring in yet another pacey winger, and you are still in a position where everyone is saying, fine, and where's the number 9 that we needed a year ago?
Yeah. That's
that's not to say the number 9's not coming.
Those questions are naturally going to happen until a number 9 is getting signed. And that's just the reality.
You probably need a second.
Of course,
right?
You do. And then listen, that's the reality of it. Listen, there are multiple positions to be addressed. Like, that is something we have echoed, before Mamadou Ka took over and afterwards. There's multiple. This is, I think from this first signing, you at least can see, okay, we're going in the direction of youth. You're looking to strengthen strength. Those to me are good things, but a 100%, right? I mean, you can take conversely if their first signing was a number 9, but maybe it was someone who wasn't of the highest quality. You don't want to just bring someone in just to get them in the door and say, look, we added someone. You want to be going after the right players. Time will tell. That's the biggest thing. Until these positions of need are being addressed, these questions are still going to be asked, and I don't think it's going to necessarily be, deemed a success until you plug those gaps. Right now, it's just all about filling out the roster and building it with the guys who you want to bring in your image.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a big piece of the identity is going to be how the midfield looks, because that I think that really sets the tone for how it looks both going forward and when Rising sit back. And we really don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, the players that Rising have in the midfield are pretty much all attacking oriented, bar JP Scarce. So once Rising can sign some pieces there, then we can really kind of hone out what this team's going to look like next season.
Now, to rickety bridge there in the thing about the number 9 as a striker, yeah, so that's typically your out-and-out centre forward, right? So we talk a lot about, I mean, in this case, I kind of pushed back on the forward. Max did a little bit as well, the forward tag on this guy. That's something we've seen kind of, I think, broadly around football. I think talking about wingers a lot more as forwards now. Yeah. And to be fair, they are being relied on more in the attack now.
You have to be specific.
But there's also a very big distinction between a winger and a wide player and your number 9 who's kind of spearheading the attack right in the middle of the attack. And that's kind of the position that Rising struggled for last season a lot. Yeah. Didn't really have the depth in that role. Some of the guys playing it were kind of somewhat wingers in their background. Now, Remy Cabral used to be a winger, became more of a 9. He wasn't necessarily the problem, but they lacked depth behind him.
Because
Darius Formella, who could play as a 9, but he is more of a winger, and he'll tell you that himself. When they brought Thomas Angel in, it was kind of too little too late in a lot of ways, and also he never really hit the ground running. So one of those things is awkward. I want to add this on there as well, because, look, winger was probably one of the positions that you felt Rising were probably strongest in, quite frankly, in terms of the returners. But I did say that I was a little bit worried because you know that Jearl Margaritha could well be gone for a good chunk of the summer. Why? Because the CONCACAF Gold Cup's happening in the middle of the summer, and Jearl Margaritha is an international who plays for Curacao.
Yeah.
And he starts for Curacao, so you'd imagine he's going off to the Gold Cup for possibly about a month in the middle of the season. That's where then my other questions about Damian Rivera come up. Because this is someone who we know is linked with the Guatemala national team now after prior appearances with the Costa Rican youth setup. If we see Damian Rivera getting involved more with the Guatemala national team, they do have a preliminary round game for the CONCACAF Gold Cup coming up, 2 legs in March. They're playing against Guyana for a place in the Gold Cup. He's yet another player, therefore, who could be gone for an extended period of time over the summer. That's the nature of signing some of these international players. You want players who are good, who are going to represent their country. But the risk of taking some of these guys from the CONCACAF region is that, by and large, USL Championship does not pay attention to the fact that you have this tournament going on in the middle of summer.
No.
Neither does MLS either, to be
No,
fair.
and I mean,
but it's a problem when you rely on guys from some of these countries here. And Curacao, you look at Curacao and think small island nation, but they got some good players.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me, and there's almost always a team that goes on a bit of a run in these kind of tournaments, right? Sometimes somehow hit the semis, and you think kind of, I didn't think they were that good, but maybe they could get there. I think they're always a team that
never know.
Just that bit of quality in that team.
Yeah.
Right? Guys who play at a higher level, who are capable of doing it.
Yeah.
And they've held some good teams in past years to good results, so you never know with them. Guatemala, probably a step too far, I think, to expect them to get out of the group, but you never know again. And we haven't had a group draw yet.
Yes. No, it's listen, I mean, I think it's something where, especially as the modern game has developed, I mean, you're right, wingers being listed as forwards, definitely playing in a different type of style, but I think that's something where you can never have too much depth at the position. You look at who Rising has listed on their websites in the forward category, joining Damian Rivera, Darius Johnson, Joe Margaritha, Darius from I mean, all of those guys, right? They have been anywhere from, okay, sure, have started somewhat consistently throughout last season, but often very much getting rotated out within the 60th, 70th minute, right? Very much time will have to tell with this new coaching staff. I think just as how the modern game has developed, you can never have too many wingers because, right, you are running a lot. You are looking to have different matchups based on what the position has had, unlike necessarily someone who maybe it's a center back or something where you know, that consistency that could be very much warranted. It is not a bad thing to have fresh legs and not bad to have a variety of options.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, at times last season, excuse me, when Rising had the Open Cup, the Open Cup weeks where, you know, Ryan Flood had to play striker multiple times for a half. Having depth is never going to be a bad thing, especially on the wings for those weeks. And with the rumors of the USL Cup sounding like a few extra matches there too. That Rising having depth on the wings will not be a bad thing whatsoever.
It is true. Depth is good. The issue, again, we're going to have to make sure when we get around to it and you're looking at a polished roster at the end, that you feel as though they've recruited and spent the right amount of time recruiting and the right amount of money and resource recruiting in the right places. You want the depth, but you don't want depth at the expense of properly recruiting for another position. Again, plenty of time to go. There is nothing to suggest that they're not going to possibly resolve some of these issues.
Panic right now.
We're not panicking in December when the first signing comes in. When it's not time to panic on that front. The time to really analyze this is going to come probably by the end of January, when you've got time maybe to add 1 or 2 more pieces at that point. The bulk of recruitment should be done by around that time when you expect the preseason games to be starting up.
Get ready. Buckle up for announcements.
But we'll see. Yeah, it's silly season is starting.
It is.
And
super
this
silly.
will take us through now until probably about the end of Jan. Yeah,
you're darn right. Well, there are actually a few more roster additions to the technical staff of Phoenix Rising. We'll chat about that on the other side of the break. But, you know, we, of course, have to talk about our friends over at Branded Bills. I know Kyle rocking little Branded Bills behind the Mac.
But here's a
big thing. Branded Bills, that collab hat, it is live. I got the little Phoenix on my hat, the little rope hat, if you will. This is a exclusive collab between Branded Bills and PHNX. They are absolutely beautiful, absolutely fantastic. First off, a couple things, right? Number one, you want your Brandon Bills and PHNX collab hats. Very easy, right? Go to shop.allcitynetwork.com. Link is in the show notes, and you can get your hats exclusively within the locker. But the other thing is, if you want ASU hats, I don't know if you guys heard this. ASU's pretty good. ASU, Big 12 champs, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Playing in the Peach Bowl.
I noticed Devin's not in the chat today.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
what happened to
convenient.
Funny, though.
Well, I was good fans out here, but listen, if you want ASU repped hats, which Brandon Bills does with their partnership with them, go to brandonbills.com, use promo code PHNX, get your ASU hat, and save 20% off that order with code PHNX. Also, shout out our friends over at Circle K. It is the holidays. It is a great time for stocking stuffers. It can be anything from a card, a little scratcher card from Arizona Lottery, some Circle K gifts, Polar Pops, which are any size, 79 cents, as we know. It's fantastic. It's a great thing to do. Everyone always needs gas throughout the rest of the year and beyond. Stock up on the stocking stuffers at Circle K. It's a great place to do that. Of course, become an Inner Circle member. How about you go and save, 25 cents off per gallon on those first 5 fill-ups, save 3 cents afterwards every gallon, even up to 5 cents when you get to the max level. And it's that easy to do. All you got to do, go to
You
participating.
always name that level after yourself,
Man,
man.
listen, I don't make the names. They make it.
They don't make that name either. It's not the max level.
I don't know about that. But anyway, go to participating Circle K locations for those Inner Circle memberships. All you got to do, download the Circle K app. Terms and conditions do apply at those participating locations. Kyle, you know what I need? What do we got today, Kyle?
Oh gosh,
It's the snack toss. We need
It's
it.
also called a premium member, by the way, man.
With max level, but that's fair.
It's a
Today-
premium member.
we have Circle K Blue Sharks.
Whoa.
Circle K
Blue
Blue
Sharks.
Right, while they're getting that ready, I'll just address the one question quickly in there from the Rickety Bridge about reading up on formations. Then we know what the new coach is running. At this point, not really. We'll see more so, I think, when preseason starts and we get things going. But Max is about to try and catch. And he can't catch. Max
One more time,
misses.
one time.
Max out.
One more time.
You can't even blame that one on
I
Kyle.
can't. I'm not blaming
You
this.
usually do, but
No,
this
no,
one
no.
you can't.
It was tapping. It was close. Here we go.
Harry Kane reference.
I will say, Kyle and I, we're usually 1 for 2. And the first one, if it goes awry, we come up clutch on that second one.
All right. All right. Quick
That's
updates
a
on the other
chew
bits around the club.
Yeah,
All right, so coaching staff
ASMR.
updates. I'll just address these while Max is choking by there, apparently. Rising are unveiling some slight changes to the technical staff. Of course, Hero is gone as the, I forget what his official job title was. Sports performance coach, I'm presuming. Got Devin Manifold coming in that role. He's someone who worked under Parmaduka.
Fantastic last
Around
name.
Parmaduka, I should better
Manifold.
say, in Charlotte. He's also worked with other MLS teams there and has experience around MLS and USL. The real headline, I think, among the changes, noting, of course, that Darnell King and Corey Robertson are remaining, as well as sitting others like the video analyst Chris Stanring, who was actually in the...
Corey Robinson, 11 season.
Actually, in the
11
press release...
season. That's crazy.
Actually, in the press release, I've just noticed called Christ Standring. And Greg Spence is staying as the head athletic trainer. But the other notable addition
Corey
there
is inevitable.
is
Nice.
Vic van Verk
Great
joining.
name.
Someone who worked under Parmaduka at North Texas, worked with him at Pacific FC. He's someone who's joining from the University of Lethbridge.
The Lethbridge Pronghorns?
Pronghorns.
That is a fantastic... Whoa, that is a great... That's an
That's
amazing
somewhere up in
mascot.
Canada.
Yeah.
What is a pronghorn?
What
anyway?
is a pronghorn?
What is a pronghorn?
Kyle would know. Oh, it's like
Is
a
the fastest
like an
land
antelope.
mammal in the United
That's
in
a
the North
Kyle animal
America.
if I ever heard of
Wow.
one. Yeah,
Wow.
that's a good...
Kyle, did you know that?
I did not actually.
You didn't. You
No.
didn't know what a. Do you know at all what a pronghorn?
Apparently
was?
there's
I've
some in
never heard of
Arizona.
a pronghorn.
They've got
It's-
some in Arizona.
Its
Really?
Latin name, Antilocabra americana, means American goat antelope, but is not a member of the goat or the antelope family.
All right, but
Wow.
anyway, he's coming on in. He'll be an assistant coach. He kind of fills the role that obviously Diego Gomez was in, and they had a
Yes.
couple of guys kind of filled in almost internally. I think towards the end of the season last year. But it does mean Darnell King remains. It does mean Corey Robertson remains. So yeah, there you go.
I like this. I mean, right? I think that you see this a lot with new coaches, right? You want to bring in people where there's familiarity, especially, right? Little track record of success as well within younger levels. You're seeing these, right? These are guys who they've worked at the youth levels. They've been able to develop a lot of that talent. But the other things too is then you kind of have the best of the other world of you have that solidity with Darnell Kim coming back, with Corey Robertson coming back. I like that, right? It's a nice mix. We've seen it within previous staffs, a little bit of, bring back some of the returners, bring in some new perspective and all that stuff. A lot to like.
I mean, I like seeing Darnell back. I mean, I don't think there was really any scare of that not happening, but
Right.
I'm just
No,
a
it's
big
officially
Darnell
official.
fan.
Yeah.
I'm the president of the Darnell King fan club. I'm marking my words here.
Now, wait, hold on. You're also the fan. You're also the
I'm
president.
vice president of Jearl Margaritha.
You're the vice president.
Yeah.
Who's president?
Kevin Kardashian.
That's right.
Rising radio
That's
legend.
right. This, of course. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
fair. That's
Okay.
fair. I
All
won't
right.
argue that one.
Okay. Multiple executive board decisions.
All right.
Nice.
So without any further ado, are we ready to move on to our fun segment?
Or is this the?
Could be
It's
fun.
kind of it on the coaches.
I think this will be fun. Yeah, I think that's what
All
we
right.
got.
So what we're gonna do?
Wait, hold on one second.
No,
Wilson, can we get a mascot for the team? Should it be a hot dog?
Yes.
I'm not the perfect guy
The
for
hot
it.
dog keeper over here will help you out.
No.
If
No.
anyone in the chat,
How about no?
if anyone in the chat makes a design
No.
for a mascot costume,
Max will get it tattooed on his back.
No,
Okay.
Max is gonna buy a hot dog costume.
I will buy. I will.
That sounds expensive.
He's just gonna eat. No,
Hold
what
on now,
he's gonna
hold on
do?
now,
He's
hold
gonna
on
go
now.
to an unnamed Halloween store shortly
Nice.
out, at some
Nice.
point and dig this out.
If-
They're
okay,
gonna be on clearance.
actually,
hot dog Halloween costume has to be on clearance. I know Rees had a hot dog Halloween costume once.
This is what we do.
We had it in a picture.
This is what we do.
Do.
We're about to do a little something. You're going to see Rees. We had to come up with a little graphic to represent him, right? Owen and I have our cartoon heads.
It was 2.5 hot dogs.
It's true. That's true. We had to make something for Rees. I'll tell you what, whoever could come up with a nice or horrible hand-drawn Rees hot dog sketch, we will have our crew mock it up, and that will be his de facto cartoon head.
However, here's what I'm going to say now
Yes.
as we move on. We're moving on to a fun thing. We're going to have a little competition between us, and then we're going to want you guys to give your input at the end. We are going to draft players from Phoenix Rising, past and present, to create our very own little futsal team. For those of you who've never watched futsal, it's just an indoor version of football. It's the FIFA recognized version. You play with 4 outfield players and a goalkeeper on this small field, and there are all kinds of fun, quirky rules about it. But it's an interesting, fast-paced game indoors. A lot of it based on technical skill, a lot more so than the physicality that you see in the outdoor game. And we're going to do a nice little snake draft now and pick our teams and see who can come up with the most interesting team. So we did do some coin tosses beforehand to determine order.
It was rigged.
It was rigged, says Rees. He got the number 3 overall pick.
So we'll snake back to
Max
him.
got number 2. I got number 1. We're gonna start picking.
Like I said, if you can, please
you
come
see
up
the
with
little hot
a
dog
better
helper there?
sketch than what we have for Rees, please.
So here we go. Are we ready for the number 1 overall pick?
No.
Don't do it.
Boo.
The number 1 overall pick is in, and it is none other than Rocco Rios Nova.
Oh
This
my gosh!
monster!
That's who I was gonna go for. Oh,
And the
brutal.
reason why is this: futsal by its nature
This guy
is
sucks.
right. No, so I'm taking my goalkeeper first, right? And the reason I'm taking my goalkeeper first, I
You can
think,
play him in the outfield too.
Here's
yeah, that's
his
the thing, right? So
explanation.
futsal, the
Brutal.
nature of it,
That's
you
I
need
mean,
those ball skills.
we would have all done the same
You
thing.
actually see later in the game, often teams will pull their goalkeeper for an outfield player wearing a goalkeeper's jersey. It's a thing. In futsal, if you're trailing and you need to find ways, the goalkeeper can move up. I think Rocco, just his ball skills really, really help you there. He's a good shot stopper. The smaller goals in futsal to me mean that, it's not, even his height's not as much of a disadvantage. You're not getting the same aerial balls. So again, his height's not so much of a disadvantage. I think he's a solid pick. He is my number 1 overall pick in this one. And that's where we're going to start things. Now, Max, we're going to turn it to you for the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah, I mean that's a brutal. I mean that's across the board. That's number 1 every single time, 100%.
Would you have both picked him as number
yeah.
1?
Yeah,
I
without a
would've,
doubt.
yeah.
I would have without a doubt. Yeah. I thought you were gonna do something. That's okay. All right, my number 2 pick. And listen, keep in mind, this is when, not like prime. This is when they played for Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, so we're basing it
Yes.
on, they have to have played at some
Nothing
point
before or
for
after
Phoenix
matters.
Rising,
When the time they
or
played for Rising.
Arizona United, obviously, because
Yes,
that was the
this
same
is true.
club. and it's based on how they were when they were with Rising. So the perfect example, and maybe Max will draft this guy, maybe he won't, I don't know. But if we were to say, for example, Didier Drogba, you're not getting prime Chelsea Didier Drogba. You are getting Phoenix Rising Didier
That is correct.
Drogba.
That's a very good point. And that's exactly who I'm drafting, baby.
Max is taking Didier Drogba.
Now listen, here's the thing. This is to me, right? Rocco, understandable, number 1 overall pick. Didier Drogba. First off, this man in that uniform. First off, I mean, my word, at the age of what he was doing, still absolutely crushing it. Second of all, Mr. Aura man over here, he talks a lot about Aura. If you're showing up to a futsal match and it's like, oh, who's that? Didier Drogba. You're just going to be overwhelmed by just the presence alone. And also, he got, he was played in his, late 30s for Phoenix Rising. He's got that old man strength too. Legendary. Futsal, absolutely no doubt about it, where you have to cover even less distance and all you got to do is shot on sight. Easy. That's a no-brainer to me.
There's a reason he was, to be fair, top of my draft board for strikers.
Let's go.
So
number 9, Golden Boot. No Golden Boot. Let's go.
Move over to
Wait,
Rees.
Max,
with the
you
number,
can't pick yourself?
Rees with the number 3
Rising
overall pick.
so far.
Well, I wasn't going to go this, but then Max said, the battle about, if you see Aura on the other side, you win.
I know where he's going.
That's why I'm going Mr. Aura himself.
I knew it.
Jearl,
I knew it.
Margaritha. Give him to me.
Give him to me.
Jearl Margaritha is
oh
Rees.
my gosh.
Rees. Why? I'm intrigued.
I mean, I'm
intrigued for this because it can't just be Aura. You can't just use Aura for first round picks.
No
I see Drogba, but
negative Aura over here. I get you. I get you to a point.
He's not even on my draft board, funnily enough.
But I do think Jearl does work well.
He's trying to bring analytics into futsal. Oh, well, actually, they're expected XG.
No. Okay, but here's the point. To me, Jearl Margaritha is a good pacey winger.
I think he's good on the ball.
Winger he is good on the ball as well, to be fair. So I can see why. All right.
Kyle, let me see what the chat's saying. Kyle, you're blocking out the people.
See the chat for just a little bit at the end of the first round.
So let's see. So Goldman Pats and John will be commentating on the World Cup for half the futsal. The second half.
Ewan likes it.
That's okay.
I get it. I think he can.
That's
he
okay.
Can do a role,
Owen Matsua, Margaritha makes so much sense in a futsal setting. Absolutely. He doesn't just rely on pace.
You're not wrong.
That is fair. He's dribbly. We like it.
He does have those skills. All right, we're going to move on.
Yeah. I mean, he's got.
All right, so Rees, you've got the number 4 pick.
All right, I know this is a bit of recency bias for the top 2 picks, but give me Patmar Boy.
He's going to take Patmar Boy.
Give me Patmar Boy.
In presumably that pivot kind of role there.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Explain.
I like the athleticism he has. I think he could.
I really do like that.
Because, listen, we're playing all-out attacking soccer. We're going to have all 5 of our players in the attacking third at all times, even if the other team's in possession. We'll just let them score. But if we do need to make a comeback, we'll just track back. Patmar Boy's quick enough for me to get back.
Yeah. So again, Rocco would have been on my board, and I think I'm just gonna, I'm gonna give you guys a little insider insight on this strategy. Now that we have the goalkeeper, has already been picked, I think Rising has had a lot of good goalkeepers. There's maybe a couple that also come to mind that could be, nice within this futsal setting. But this is gonna be one of my later picks, right? I want to fill out the depth. Rocco was clear goalkeeper choice number 1. I was
gonna say when I took Rocco as number 1,
he knew the rest of the board
down the list of goalkeepers.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be one of my later picks. That's around 4 or 5. That's future max.
Damian Lowe, not the first defender, goalie man Pat says.
Yes.
Right. I will add here to this one, goalie man Pat. By the way, as we speak on it, that the thing about it is that Damian Lowe. I mean, there's also a lot of other things here in terms of. The nature of how that player plays.
It's true.
They're not a true necessarily just a centre back per se. I don't know. Rees took Patmar Boy then as the 4th overall pick. We're going to Max now for the 5th overall pick.
Yeah, and I do like the Patmar Boy pick. There's a lot of athleticism. Bring the ball up. It's fair. Give me another centre back in his peak. John Stenberg.
You're going John Stenberg. Interesting.
Listen, number 1, you need a guy who he can just straight up, be the captain, be able to have that dominating presence. Futsal is a crazy game. It's madness, whatever you want to call it. You need someone who can command the line, okay, right?
Yeah.
Rock solid within that center back position. He's calm, right? Sure, he's not maybe flying around like Patmar Boy, but that's fine. That's not what I need from my team. Maybe Rees needs it for his team. I don't need that for my team. And guy who we know he can score timely goals when he needs to. The goal scoring, the timeliness, the aura, of course. John Stenberg, give it to me.
He does have aura.
Of course he does.
We are
That's an
not-
all
we're
aura
not
team.
too
I'm
mad away from him.
already winning right there. Let's go.
Right, to round out the second round. Here's the thing. Much like you guys, I'm going to take a defensive player per se in this one.
Don't do it.
I'm taking someone as my pivot kind of role.
Don't do it.
And so the reason why I was debating, there were two guys. This is why I didn't go with them first, because I thought Rocco was the obvious goalkeeper choice. And for me, there were two people I could have put into this role.
Oh gosh.
I didn't want a true defender necessarily, but I wanted someone who could defend. But I wanted someone who's also good at ball distribution as well. I'm going to take Kev Lambert.
Ooh.
I'm going to choose
Okay.
Kevin Lambert. He was
Okay.
one of two. I'm not going to tell you who
Okay.
the other one is because I'm letting you guys work out who you're going to pick for that. But I'm going to take Kev Lambert with pick number 6 here. I think he's someone who can fill in that kind of a role again, who is capable of being very defensive minded. We've seen him play as a centre back. We've seen him play in the midfield. He's able to move. His distribution's perfectly fine. I like that. I think he's a big enough body guy. He'll get physical in there. He'll I like that. So through 2 rounds, right? Just to recount here where we are. I've got Rocco, Rios Novo, and Kevin Lambert. Max has Didier Drogba and John Stenberg. Rees has Jearl Margaritha and Pap Marboy. And now we're about to move on to
It's men among boys. Let's go.
I'm going to choose an attacking
Jeez.
player for the first time in this one because my guys have been quite defensive. And I'm surprised that he got down
Here we go. He's surprised.
to number, what are we on, 7? Number 7 overall
Yeah.
pick.
It's
in
gonna
this
be
one.
who I think it is.
You know
isn't it?
exactly. Who do
Yeah.
you think it's going to be, Reese?
Well, say it and then I'll.
no,
confirm.
Reese, tell me who your prediction is.
Is it Solo?
It is Solomon
Yeah.
Asante.
That's fair.
I'm going to take Solomon
fair.
Asante with pick number 7. Look, this guy again, just what a player he's been.
Yeah.
He'd do well.
At his prime, and he was at his prime with Phoenix Rising. That's the thing. I think his ability to find the back of the net in almost any situation, just the technical ability that he had, I have to take Solomon Asante. And I'm actually really happy now because I've got 3 of my top 4.
Wow.
Wow, we're so happy
Have we done
for
that
you.
bad of
Oh
a
my
job,
gosh,
Bex?
wow.
But
Maybe we need to start like playing some defense here on Owen's picks. Not help ourselves, but
here's
I don't
the-
concern myself
No,
with
but
that.
here's
I'm
the
fine
thing.
with
I'm
that.
intrigued who you guys are going for from here on out. Because I really like what I've got right there right now, and I'm happy with how this team looks right now. And so I'm gonna push it back over now
Okay.
to our man in the middle, and it's Mr. Max Simpson here
Well,
with pick number 8.
I actually really like, the Solomon Asante pick. And that's all well and good, right?
Are you gonna pick my other guy who's in the top 4?
But here's the thing is I think Solomon Asante, a lot of what he did, right? I think he needs a little bit more space. And my guy,
Okay.
he can score a goal in a telephone booth, as they say. Give me Danny Trejo.
Yeah, see, Danny
Give me
Trejo was my
Danny
other guy in my top 4.
Trejo, baby. Listen, this is a guy who, Danny Trejo, he just pops up in the right places. Where Solomon Asante, right? Very talented player. And also, I would have had him on the list. Probably, you're right, Owain didn't pick him. Could make a case I may have gone there. But, right, he's a guy, need a lot of space to dribble into, all that stuff. Not as much of a, hey, he's going to pop up in the middle of nowhere. Doesn't need a ton of touches. He doesn't need to be overly clever. He just finishes, runs off. Didier Drogba. You have Didier Drogba and Danny Trejo running after you. You're done. You better hope that Rocco is absolutely on his game. I'm loving it. Let's go.
oh gosh, what do I go?
Reese,
My 2.
finishing out round number 3 with pick number 9.
The 2 guys on my board for this pick both went in the 2 picks right before. So you had to pivot strategies here. We're going all out attack, so we need to sign someone. Let's go Rufat Dadashov.
He's going Rufat Dadashov.
Absolutely. No Erickson Gallardo. I know that breaks the heart of Devin, but Dadashov, I absolutely loved watching him here. 15 goals in 29 appearances. He's going to bag 15 goals a game in this side.
You know what intrigues me here, right? And this is before we move on from round 3. Dadashov, I like him as a forward. The thing to me though, he was a very physical forward, and I think someone who, to be fair to him, he wasn't necessarily the most aerial of forwards. That's the thing. Despite his big frame, he wasn't. So I see the rationale in there.
Any Gallardo mentioned.
Any Gallardo mentioned Devin says.
By the way,
Devin, Devin, sorry, Devin. What happened to Iowa State on the weekend? We're bringing that up.
We are 3 likes away from Owen doing the Big 5 boom, so keep those likes coming,
No,
people.
we're not doing it. I'm not doing that.
He'll do it. We got a voice recording.
But as we move on here, look, I don't mind Dadashov. What I want to say, I think my analysis after 3 rounds is that only I have picked a goalkeeper right now.
That's cute.
We're
You
about that
guys
later.
still need a goalkeeper at some
That's fine.
point.
I'm playing chicken. Actually,
You two are playing chicken with each other pretty
fine.
much. I mean,
That's
the key thing is that if Rees doesn't pick a goalkeeper now, you can pick one at any time.
I know.
You can pick it with round 5.
Maybe I don't even pick a goalkeeper. Who knows?
I mean, you kind of need to at some
I
point.
can do what I want.
I mean, you can play an outfield player
I
in
can do
goal
what I
if you want.
I can do what I want.
All right, moving on.
It's not your draft.
Rees. We're in the 4th round now, Mr. Rees.
2 more likes. Get on for those 5 booms.
This is
Overall
tough.
pick.
This is tough.
Rees Goodall is going to pick.
I'm seeing Panos in the chat. We got a lot of interesting
Panos
choices.
Is a shout.
That is a
I'm
shout.
split between 2, or really 3, but I think I'm gonna go with Panos here. I do think I am. I was thinking either him or Greg Hurst here, but I'm gonna stick with Panos. I think the passes that he's gonna serve up, what he's gonna do, he's gonna pull out his Ronaldinho inspiration. Ronaldinho is gonna pull out for us and win us this cup.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in it.
Panos is a good player, and he's a very good technical player. I back it as a good pick. I think he's someone who, again, would, in this kind of a setting, really thrive. It's interesting.
Okay.
Very creative. The kind of guy you'd think, if you really let him kind of see if he can find ways to slip balls into tight spaces, he'd find a way.
So it's Max's pick again.
So,
Are you
for
gonna go,
round
Max?
4, 11th overall pick, we come to Max Simpson.
Oh, do we gotta do this now?
Yeah, you got to do this now, Max.
Ooh.
All-time Phoenix Rising.
Richmond Antwi.
Oh goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of ones in the chat. I really want to kind of just meme it, and I want to kind of go like a long tan or something like that.
Wait, who's Max got already? Can we just look again?
Yeah.
Drogba, Stenberg,
Danny
Trejo.
kind of need. Oh man, dude, this is tough because I
You've
kind
got
of want
kind of the pivot in there.
I kind of need.
You need another attacking player in there of some variety.
Yeah. This is tough. There's a lot of different ways I can go with this. And listen, I think that a lot of people have been going with, you guys have kind of been going for a lot of like, not really necessarily, the glue
We're
guys.
not picking Marcus for crown.
Brisbane Roar legend.
you guys have been, going with a lot of the big name players and all that type of stuff.
Okay.
No one's really picked a glue guy. You need a glue guy, okay?
Blue guy?
This is a bit unconventional. I love this pick, and it's my team. No one else's.
Yep.
Gabby Torres.
I
He's
actually like
going
that pick.
Gabby Torres. Now, here's a couple things. Number one, Gabby Torres, if you want to talk about a motor, a guy who in futsal can go up and down that court, absolutely, number one, that's the guy. Number two, he's
Brazilian
actually
as
he
well.
actually,
I
he actually,
mean,
he
come
actually
on,
fit-
futsal.
You
I
took my third
guarantee
point.
you he
You took
played
my
it.
third point. But my second point was, yes, he covers both an offensive and a defensive need. He links up very nicely. Little handoff from John Stenberg and can pass it and dribble it up to Drogba and Danny Trejo. And number three, yes, the big one. He's Brazilian. Like, that's just a cheat code in there. Let's go.
I mean, 2022 when he first came here, that was peak Gabby
Come
Torres
on.
in my opinion.
Come on now.
I think that
take.
era of Gabby Torres thrives.
Yeah.
Futsal.
Yeah. And like, look, if you're looking at that guy's on the list, if he's right now the quote unquote one with the least aura, but just a guy who he has so much aura because he's just a glue guy. Oh, that's money to me. I love that. Let's go.
Yeah.
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 What was that?
Yeah. What was that?
How do we feel about where we are right now? How do you guys feel about where you are right now?
I'll feel a lot better after you make your pick and we kind of can analyze.
After I've got
Yeah,
2 more picks to make.
Yeah. Well, why don't you make one of them?
I'm thinking about who I want to go for right now because here's the thing. I want a forward. I want someone who's going to score goals.
We all want things in life.
And This one's difficult because I had it on my list, and I'm not sure if I want to stick by it or not.
I kind of don't want to draft a keeper still.
I'm tempted.
I really might be tempted.
I'm not gonna stick by my list. I'm gonna go. I'm
Whoa.
gonna change my mind on what I had earlier.
Oh.
And I'm gonna take someone that we all know, someone who had a good season this year, admittedly not with Rising. I think would have played better if he had better players around him. And he's good with the ball at his feet. I'm gonna take Greg Hurst. I'm gonna take Greg Hurst. I'm gonna do it.
See Jordan Stagmiller in the chat. That's a fair shout.
I'm going to take Greg Hurst. The player that I passed over, and I'll say it now, I was thinking Darren Mattocks. And I should have probably taken him.
You can still take.
No.
No, I'm
can't.
not going to.
Not
Well, I could because I've got another draft.
That's what I'm
pick.
saying.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can, you just do it. Yeah, why don't you just okay? Is that
True.
But I'm not.
Unbalanced.
So I've taken Greg Hurst in this one. Look, again, I think he was a player. We saw it in moments. Monterey Bay, especially away from home. The way that he pulled that ball down and just kind of, wow. What a player when you can get him to play with his feet. It's just not the team that he was on just didn't really come through correctly ever. I don't know. Maybe that's a controversial one. That's possibly my worst pick of the entire one. Sorry, Greg. I love you, Greg, really, but I'll take it. And now you know what? You want a controversial one?
Oh gosh.
How controversial
I'm
are we
ending
getting
this
here?
now. As we go into the 5th round, how are we feeling? Good.
I'm feeling great, man.
He's feeling great. For my 5th and final pick, it's coming in now. And this one's going to be controversial because I know you guys are going to be like, why on earth would you pick him?
So it's someone English.
No, it's not English. I'm going to pick someone who I think has, who multiple players have said, has the best technical skills on the team at various times. And I think I'm going to go with Fede Varela. I'm going with Federico Varela.
It's actually not.
You look at where his
It's not
struggles
bad.
have been, the physicality,
Not bad
Yeah.
for fifth.
the movement.
What is this, the 13th overall
Not
pick?
quite
Yeah.
the same. Not quite the same issue in futsal. His technical ability, the way that he doesn't do it all the time, and it's often because of those issues that I mentioned. Doesn't always do it. He has the ability to just thread passes through sometimes that you think, wow, that was really good. And then does nothing for the rest of the game. But you listen to guys like when we had JP Skiers on the pod and we were chatting with JP Skiers.
Yeah.
And it was like, who's the best player on the team? It was Fede Varela. What he's capable of doing, and I'm sure what he shows them on the training ground every day, is another level of player. We don't typically see it, but I genuinely think he'd actually perform really well in there. And I see one of our commenters in there who's kind of put him in the joke category of sorts.
Respect
But I
my goat, Liam Mullins.
actually really, Reese's laptop's just destroying itself over there.
Fun.
No, it's
We move.
Gully Man Pat saying I sound like Brandon hyping Fede. I'm not hyping him for 11 aside, but I think futsal he could do a job.
Munge in the chat.
As controversial as that may be,
That's
that's the most controversial
Munge in
one.
the chat. I'm assuming you're going with Uchenna Uzo, in which case I almost picked him because when he would bomb forward up with those Arizona United days, I like that. That was fun.
I'd have probably taken Panos over Fede if Panos was available at this point.
That's fair.
Panos was not available at this point.
All right. Well, let me. Okay, so you got your five. So you got Rocco, Kev Lambert, Solomon Asante, Greg Hurst, Fede Varela.
Yeah.
You're not really playing much defense, guy.
I got Lambert.
I mean, sure. That's
Yeah,
fair.
but the key thing there is...
I guess you're you're
Yeah.
on the front foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. All right,
They often play with more attack-minded players. It's kind of the way the futsal
It's a
is.
choice. Well, Reese, before I make my
Yeah.
pick, I mean, it's not really going to impact me either way. Are you going to be taking a keeper?
I might be.
Yeah,
I don't know yet.
I think in the spirit of this, I think to make it even out, I'll take a keeper.
He is taking a keeper.
Let me also rephrase. If I didn't take a keeper, hypothetically, I mean, I would have to pick an outfield player who could then use their hands.
You'd have to say who your goalkeeper would be.
Oh, if you want an outfield player that used their hands, go to Owen's 3rd round pick.
Solomon Asante.
He would nice. He can
Sacramento fans still salty.
he can deputize.
Max, here we go. With the 14th
my
overall
gosh.
pick.
Like I said, there's a
Matix is good goalie man, Pat. I know, but like And dude is insane. Yes, we know. We know he's insane.
I mean, I gotta
trust me. We know he's insane.
Listen, I gotta pick a keeper. I'll pick a keeper. And again, like
they need goalkeepers.
Listen, to me, there's a massive in futsal purposes. There's a massive gap between Rocco Rios Novo and anyone else.
Yeah.
There's a couple different ways you can go. You can go the classic. You can go the Waz route, right? You can go Ben Lunt, who, right, he has a lot of experience.
Are you about to pick Zach Lubin or Josh Cohen?
A lot of experience making a ton of saves. And I almost went Ben Lunt. Just the sheer amount of saves. This is what futsal is. It is crazy, it's dangerous.
Is he going to go Pittsburgh Riverhounds goalkeeper?
No. I'm going with a man who I've seen pained a club that I once supported.
Zach
First
Lubin.
up, he can thrive in this situation is Zach Lubin.
You picked Zach Lubin.
Yeah.
That's a good shout.
Listen,
Zach's a good
listen to
goalkeeper.
me.
Zach's also a nutter, so I mean,
And
that's
part of
lovely
it.
guy.
That's part of it.
I say that
That's
in the
part of it.
nicest possible way.
If I'm playing, you know, a little full field 11, okay, cool. Maybe someone want calm, cool, compose. Again, no shouts to him. I want someone a little bit off the rock, a little bit unhinged.
That guy with a scar down his face, which
Zach
Zach has.
Yeah.
He still
There is
has that
always
scar.
one guy in futsal or in indoor soccer where it's like, oh, that's going to fight someone. And if that guy's my keeper, you're so done. You're so done. Give me Zach Lubin. I love that pick.
Well,
Reese,
You got
here
your
we
pick
come.
of the litter.
15th
Get your pick of the litter.
overall pick.
for goalkeeper, give me. He only played here for like a season. Andre Rawls. That guy, I truly believe that season could have stopped the bus coming at him. I mean, he was unreal in 2021, and that team would not have been this as high up in the standings without him. And you know, we don't really have many defenders on this team, so we're gonna face a ton of shots. And there's no guy I'd rather want than Andre Rawls in the net for me.
Okay. I like these. This is cool seeing these out. I like these. These are, wow. All right, so let's
All right, so
let's
just to go
recap.
through the, and
Let's
we won't do
recap.
them in order of. I'll read through them in order of position as well. I think, which is kind of important.
That's a
so
lot. All right.
for Max, your defender, as we look at this now, as we look at the
How about
final board here.
how about goalkeeper?
So your goalkeeper in this case is Zach Lubin.
That is correct.
You're going to play kind of like that pivot role will be John Stenberg, the defensive kind of role in there. And then, your out-and-out striker is Didier Drogba, flanked by
Danny Trejo, Machete,
and Gabby Torres.
kind of linking up in the middle. Yeah, I love it. I got a squad. I think I got
That's
the most.
interesting.
I got the most balanced squad. I got the most
Rees
top end firepower.
has
Let's go.
got Andre Rawls in goal. He's got Pat Marboy a bit deeper. See, the only question with me for Pat Marboy is almost like the distribution as well, though. Because we see his passing numbers are okay, but they're very much like sideways.
They took a leap.
I don't know. I don't know if you're relying on him to be almost a playmaker as well.
Oh,
in there.
I believe in it. I believe in it.
I don't know. You're gonna have
That's your-
Dadashov
that's-
leading
that's
the
my-
line.
that's your boy.
That is my boy.
With Jearl Margaritha and Panos Armanakis.
I knew he was going to pick Jearl. It was just the first pick. I love it.
I like it. I do
love
like it.
I
to be
do.
fair.
It's a Reese team.
I think
it
it's
is a Reese
defensively
team.
suspect, but
It's very.
I agree. There was a comment further up. I think it was from you and saying about how it was like defensively suspect, but the most entertaining. I don't know about defensive capabilities.
It
but
is
Reese's
okay if
team
you're
will be the most
defensively suspect if
entertaining.
you can score more than the other
Exactly.
team, and that
We
is
might
all that
concede
matters.
20, but we'll score 21.
There we go. And then my team, I've got Rocco in goal. I've got Kev Lambert playing that kind of pivot. See, this is, for me, and I'm going to explain my own one here. I just feel that Lambert's probably the better playmaker from that deeper role compared to John Stenberg or Pat Marboy. I'm just going to say it. I think he is.
I would say certainly from over Pat Marboy, over John Stenberg. I think
And then you've got a Sante and Varela playing.
I think it depends. I think
Greg
it depends
Hurst.
on who you're asking.
What's interesting here more than anything to me is that despite having the opportunity, none of us went back to the Arizona United days.
I was like 8 years old.
I almost
then,
did.
So.
You almost did. Who were you going to
almost did.
take? Were you thinking long tan for the meme value?
I was, but it also
He was a good goal
it also
scorer.
is
To be
a
fair.
legit person who I maybe would have taken as a defender, Uchenna Uzo. Honestly,
Yeah, that's fair.
a solid defender, and he would have been so great in futsal. Where just when they would go down, and it's like you need a goal. It was the classic send your defender rampaging forward and just have him play on the front line for the last 5-10 minutes. And that Arizona United team, when I entered them, what, 20... Oh gosh, that was a 2016 season. They were so bad, and like they had to use him often in that role, so it was entertaining. So for the entertainment value and the applicability, I like it.
I believe he's coaching locally. I think he's coaching kids now here.
We'll ask on Twitter as well. But Kyle, you can throw a poll in the chat. Who won? Chat, comment as well. Who do you like? Which team you rocking with there?
Are you excited for the barrage of slander from the Michael Vanderplas calling these all the worst teams ever?
He would never. Ooh, that's a great shout in the chat. Carlos Harvey as a defender would have been a shout. He's pretty technical too.
One. I didn't
That's
say it because I didn't want to ruin it.
What are some honorable mentions?
I said on there that I was going to realistically go, I wasn't sure if I was going Kev Lambert or the other one. The other one for me was Carlos Harvey. Because he was defensive-minded. He's got the technical ability. He can play a forward pass. He can pick people out. And he gives you that physicality, a little bit of physicality in that you'd want from your really one defensive player.
That's exactly when Yalov did it. That's exactly it, dude. I've seen so many of those games. It would have been so entertaining. I almost picked him, but like, I just want a little bit of defensive stability.
Again, Darren Mattocks. I was a bit crazy, admittedly.
Okay.
Another
Long tail would have thrived.
Another one, Arturo Rodriguez.
Oh, that's a solid.
I have beef with him,
especially in
so I can't pick
futsal.
him.
Arturo Rodriguez in the smaller spaces again, just a playmaker kind of guy.
What do you
loses temperament a bit sometimes.
Sean
That's
Wright
classic.
Phillips,
sometimes
of course.
hits people in the back.
Sean Wright Phillips, great guy.
Santi Moore at his peak.
I was thinking
Santi
Santi
Moore,
Moore,
Rising. But that has to be peak rising. He had a very good and a very bad year.
Yeah.
Santi Moore, that's the thing. If we're talking absolute peak, I almost picked him, but I'm like, I just don't know how long the peak would have lasted, and that's why I shied away from it. He would have been my fourth. I almost picked him over Gabby, but yeah, that's
Damian Lowe.
Carlos.
I feel
Damian Lowe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Another goalkeeper that I mentioned, but none of you picked up on, Josh Cohen.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Another guy who had a very good
again
spell.
after Rocco. Like to me, it's no offense, men. I think you could pick any of the goalkeepers. I don't think it's going to be a massive thing.
No,
and that's just it. Yeah,
you had a lot
100%.
of good shot stoppers.
100%.
How you rank them, then you've got to move on. Anguiano, no.
I'm the all-aura team.
Can we start chucking some of these players in?
I love it.
I feel like Anguiano could be fun. I don't know if he'd be great, but I think
he'd be interesting.
He'd be serviceable. I think he'd be.
I don't know. I don't know if he ever really did enough.
I mean, we never really saw him that much. So
no, that's true. That's true. We barely saw him play. I don't know. I know someone was checking around Joey.
I'm very surprised. What was most that might be the most surprising pick. You picked Greg Hurst.
Of mine, yeah. The rest
when
of
he was with Rising, but you based him off when he wasn't with Rising.
No, I thought he played all right in times during his
We're
time
going with
Rising.
an all right. You went with an all right player. I mean, that's
yeah.
fine.
But you look at some of the other guys. Darren Mattocks. I mean,
Jackson
some of those
Conway.
Jackson
That's intimidation factor.
Okay, so who would you pick ahead of him then? In my position, needing an extra striker.
An extra striker.
Ooh.
Because the thing is, I'm trying to think, obviously it's futsal. You don't want aerial guys.
Yeah.
Because that's not a factor of this game.
Did you have another out-and-out like striker number
Not really.
9?
It was Solo and Fede.
Yeah, you really did.
See?
Yeah.
They're more of those guys who are going to play you in. And Greg still scored a reasonable number of goals that year.
Honestly, in futsal, where the goal is like a foot away, Arteaga. Arteaga.
Oh, that's such a good shout, and none of us
Are
did
there
it.
penalties?
Oh.
Hey, Owen, you just moved to Albuquerque and you can get all the great
then I
Hurst you
have to
want.
move to Albuquerque. So no from me.
No, in all seriousness, I actually think like Arteaga could have been in this format. Pretty darn good.
He was probably a great shot.
Pretty darn good. I
Probably
think
should have done that.
You're talking about peak, right? People forget he was fifth in the league. He was very good statistically.
For me, that's my.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Data shot for the Aura.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Kyle, who do you like? Whose draft do you like, Kyle? Let us know. No people.
I'll let you. Okay, I'll start with who I like best, and then I'll share the poll.
Yeah.
So, let me throw it up here one more time. I think I like Rees's team the best.
Let's go.
Just solid all around. Not too familiar with Rawls, but
that's fair.
Everyone else
might go.
Solid players.
That's fair.
And that's what the chat agreed with.
The
Reese,
chat's
Let's
going
go.
Rees.
What?
56%.
Let's go.
56?
Max and Owen tied at 22.
Someone break the deadlock. Yeah. Everyone in the chat, Arteaga would have been deadly with his link up. Going right back, Billy Forbes, big miss. That's fair. Well, chat,
Billy
keep them
Forbes.
coming. I think that'll do it for us, gents. I know we kind of left some other stuff on the table. There's World Cup news, USL Cup. There's all types of stuff that could be up in the air. But leave a like on your way out here. Oh, and we got to 15 likes. Do the 5 booms.
I'm not. I told you I wasn't doing it.
Oh, wait. He's memeing it?
You got to
Yeah.
do it too, Max.
Oh, wait. All right, fine.
No, actually say it. Come on, Max.
Boom.
Give a boom.
Boom.
Well, but wait, Max. Are you allowed to say boom because it's the
Yeah,
brand
but
adapted
it's not a free ad.
Superstore
But it's not
name?
it's not a free ad.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna impersonate
Boom.
Owen Evans since boom, 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 go Cardiff, boom, boom. Appreciate everyone
2-0.
joining us here on the PHNX
Besting.
PHNX Rising podcast.
Max, stop it.
Appreciate y'all joining us. Make sure to leave a like on your way out here. Follow us at PHNX__Rising because double the underscore. Double the underscore.
Double the goals Cardiff conceded today.
Yeah, fair enough. I
let's
won't argue
go,
that.
let's go.
I won't argue it. Didn't even break the tie,
You can
by the
follow
way.
me on Twitter at Max David Sims. You can follow Owen on Twitter, OJ Evans 18. You can follow Style Like a Reese on Twitter, Reese Levitt _, and you follow
Wow.
Mr. Kyle Cooper. Hi.
New results in.
Ah!
Owen has the best team now at 53%.
What is it?
Owen-
Stop the count. Stop the
Reese
count.
at 30%.
Owen has about
Stop the count.
20
Stop the
different
count. You can
alt
follow-
accounts.
I
and
was
that's not
going
untrue.
to give you a follow, but I get now you can. No, okay. K Coop Sports. Make sure to, by the way, at us and especially at PHNX __ Rising. Come up with your best Stat Like Your Reese cartoon sketch, and we will make that his
Oh, God.
new avatar. Let's go. It's a beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful when you draft the best Phoenix Rising all-time futsal team. Let's go. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.